we have created a proactive password checker for the elderly that aims to communicate the strength of an authentication secret and guides the elderly user to the desired strength level. We present the password trainer. Here we have an almanac of all the information to train our elderly, as well as some controls. There is the password checker with some controls as well on the bottom and some results. And here on the right we have our authority figure that gives us a tip. Inside the almanac we have some stories to train our elderly users to create a better password. For each one of these stories in the almanac there is a tip. The content we have included in our password trainer is the almanac and all the stories, the password checker and its results, as well as the tooltips we provide to the elderly into how to make a better password. Each one of the hints provided is associated with one of these stories. We address password length and give examples of phrased passwords or using the first letters of such phrases. We address the use of different characters in passwords, how you could improve your password by using different alphabets. We also address passwords that avoid dictionary words, because common dictionary words are more vulnerable. And we give examples of how to substitute letters with symbols and how to form compound words. And we approach the use of multiple passwords and present a formula on how to create different passwords from a main password, like yeah, I love pizza for YouTube and yo, I love pizza for Yahoo. We address hacking and password cracking and how you could mitigate these risks through the lessons learned before. And we have little links so they can easily access the lesson we were referring to, so that the user can easily associate the risks of hacking and password cracking with the lessons learned before. So when designing a password, they will have this in mind. We talk about the dangers of repeating your password throughout multiple sites, and we relate it back to the simple solution we proposed before in section 1.2.2. We address the dangers of password sharing amongst friends and co-workers. And finally, we decided to include phishing attacks because these are commonly targeted at the elderly. We mention how companies never ask for the password directly and how you should never share your password even with a staff member. In our index page, we have our password checker. If we write down a password, we will get feedback on how hard it is to crack, how long it would take to crack it, the password strength, as well as receive some feedback and suggestions on how to improve. In this case, we get the feedback that this is a very common password, and we get the suggestion to add another word or two, as well as use uncommon words. So if we follow the suggestions and write 3 Portuguese words, for example, we get a much stronger password that is a lot harder to crack. We have designed the navigation of our system to guide the elderly user. On the top left we have a link to our homepage, and underneath it we have the almanac, along with the links to each one of its sections, starting with section 1, good passwords, and the user can navigate through the sidebar or by clicking the next and previous buttons to cycle along the different stories. When previously taught lessons are mentioned, there is a link to guide the user onto the appropriate lesson. This is done in case the user wants to recall the specific lesson. The next and previous buttons of the first and the last page respectively lead you back to the index page. As mentioned before, each one of these sections is related to one of these hints. The hints displayed by our authority figure will change every time you refresh the page, giving the user a different hint every time they enter our website. Both these hints and the almanac will proactively guide the user into making a better password. By clicking the hint, they will be taken to the respective page associated with that hint. This will give curious users more information on the hint showed, as well as remind users of the lessons they have learned before. To assist the elderly users that might have some visual impairments, we have included some controls to change the font size of both the index page and throughout the almanac. We have also included the sidebar that helps guide the users throughout the different lessons of the almanac and ends up serving as a reminder of such lessons. To assist the elderly, we have also included some controls to narrate the text in the page. For example, let's hear the first lesson of the almanac.
Section 1, good passwords. passwords are part of the authentication process. For example, this used to be done through checkbooks and through a signature.
This feature is available throughout the almanac.
Section 1.1.1 Password length. The longer the password I use, the harder it is for others to guess it. However, the longer it is, the harder it is for me to...
This feature is also available to read out the results from the password checker in the index page, which can be done like so.
Your password can be guessed in 84 attempts and cracked in 8 seconds. Password strength. Very weak feedback. This is a top 100 common password suggestions. Add another word or two. Uncommon words are better.
In order to address the elderly, we have used an authority figure to give out the hints. We tried to keep these hints as short as possible while still being relevant. Some hints were done to generate curiosity and some were made to inform. In the almanac itself, when we're introducing the topic, we make sure to make an analogy to an example that our elder users will be familiar with. Throughout the text, we speak in first person so that our elder users get a sense that other people are behaving securely as well, when in reality, most people do not. However, since most people follow what others do, this could be thought of as an incentive for our users to behave more securely. And this way we're not telling our users what they have to do. We have also kept our almanac stories quite short. As we refer to in our report, when addressing the elder users, one should be quick to the point and be quite direct. Elderly users are not interested in learning technology for technology's sake. They simply want to achieve their goal and they see that technology as a means to do so. That is another reason why we were quite direct, and the reason why we keep our stories and lessons less about technology and more about the actual lesson we are trying to convey. Similarly, in the results of the password checker, we try to be quite direct, giving the user feedback on the current password and how to improve it. Our team learned how to better interact with elderly users along the research. An early assumption was that elderly users do not read very well. However, it turns out that elderly users are very good at reading, as well as have a strong technical vocabulary, which has been accumulated along the years. We learned that the difficulties associated with reading amongst elderly users are more often due to vision impairment aspects instead of the lack of technical or literary capabilities. As computer scientists, we share the love for technology. It was with great surprise to learn that elderly people are not interested in learning technology in order to have more knowledge about it. Instead, when addressing elderly users, the focus should be on life goals and what they're trying to accomplish instead of technology itself. When our team researched the targeted user group, we initially thought that addressing elderly's problems might be difficult due to the various impairments and health issues which occur due to the aging process. However, we learned that the majority of elderly individuals who are classified as young-old live a healthy lifestyle, which results into able-bodied persons without concerning medical conditions which could affect their mental and physical state. Therefore, we assumed that the targeted user group is comprised of young-old able-bodied individuals who have one or more dependents. And finally, since older people were brought up reading more books than the younger generations, our team had assumed that elderly users would be keen on long narratives and stories. However, through the literature read, it was clear that the short and direct text was preferable. This concludes the presentation of our project. We hope you enjoyed and thank you very much for your time.